Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Goffstown School Board meeting. I call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. If we can all stand and say the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have correspondence tonight?
We do. This evening in the correspondence folder is a technical advisory that the New Hampshire Education Department put out regarding education freedom accounts. So people are free to look online and look this up themselves. It's kind of long, there's a lot to it. But my big takeaway is it continues to be very obvious to me that we're going to need to have a policy regarding the administration of EFAs. So we appreciate the guidance from the department, but I think it still is pretty unclear. And I think that the school board, as we've discussed, will need a policy down the road.
All right, thank you, Brian.
But it was a step in the right direction.
All right, good news, accommodations. Brady.
All right. First off, this Wednesday, November 12th, Student Council will be hosting their Veterans Day breakfast, where members of our community who have served are invited to join us in a nice meal and to talk about their experiences. If interested, email Senora McKinnon at aaron.mckinnon@scu19.org for more details. On November 31st, GHS had its New Hampshire Applies Day, where Goffstown seniors were able to apply to any New Hampshire college or university for free. 167 seniors attended, 141 of which submitted at least one application. In total, 468 applications were completed, saving students $12,000 in application fees. That was great. They're so expensive. And then quarter one at the high school and fall sports have officially ended, so we're getting into that wintery season. So if you're interested in doing winter sports, you can sign up for Power School.
Great, thank you, Brady. Ms. Bean.
My first one is about art and performing arts. Goffstown High School art students participated in Art on the Walls exhibition at the Goffstown Town Hall as part of the Pumpkin Festival. Their artwork is displayed in the hall until the end of November, if you want to see it. The GHS Select Vocal Ensemble was honored to be one of only 2 high schools in New Hampshire to perform independently at the All New England Choral Festival held in Plymouth State a few weeks ago. The GHS band participated in the annual Halloween parade at Bartlett and Maple Ave, bringing festive mood and music to the younger students. Kaylin Lavery has been selected for the 2026 New Hampshire All-State Jazz Choir and will proudly represent Goffstown High School at the festival in February. And then for Rho Kappa, the GHS Rho Kappa chapter is proud to participate in the nationwide celebration of America's 250th anniversary. In partnership with the Goffstown Historical Society, members are contributing to the podcast series honoring local Revolution War veterans. In addition, each week, Rho Kappa shares an American moment on the Grizzly Buzz, which we hear every Friday in our homerooms, and posing historical questions of the week on our school's digital displays, engaging the student body in reflection and discovery. These efforts highlight Goffstown's rich heritage and foster a deeper appreciation for our nation's founding.
Thank you, Ms. Bean. Go ahead, Wendy.
Great, thank you. So just 2 quick things to share. Bartlett has had 2 assemblies for Veterans Day to honor those that have served. They were very fortunate to have a keynote address by Ashley O'Brien, who is a school resource officer for both Mountain View and Bartlett, who shared some powerful reflections on her service in the United States Air Force. So a special thank you to her for taking the time to go and meet with our students. And parents and community members are invited to take a look at the newsletter and their Facebook pages. They have a lot of information up there about the assembly. Also over at Maple Ave, yesterday was their PFT's Color Fun Run. They had a goal to get to $17,000 in donations, and if so, Mrs. Ryu, the Dean of Students, was going to run and get color blasted at the end, and they surpassed that goal. So a special thank you to all of the parents and family and community members who were a part of that, and the many kids that ran as well. It was a great day.
Awesome,
Thank you.
Anyone else, commendations, good news? Go ahead, Jenny.
I was able to hear a little bit of a video of Mountain View's Veterans Assembly that they had this afternoon, and super job, really nicely done by the kids and everybody.
Thank you, Jenny. Go ahead, Jared.
Congratulations to those Marines and family of Marines for their 250th anniversary for the fighting force that was born in a bar. So congratulations to those members.
Thank you, Jared. Anyone else? Commendations, good news? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to public comment, and I have a list of a few people that would like to do public comment. Before I call your name, I'm going to go through some housekeeping rules in case you've never done public comment at our board. When I call your name, you'll come up to the seat with the microphone, speak clearly your name and address, it's for the record, and then please state your comment. We ask that you keep your comment to 3 minutes or less. This is not an answer and question dialogue, and we do ask that you speak respectfully to everybody at this table. And if I don't have your name, at the end, I'll ask if there's anybody else, because I saw some people come in after. So the first person is Crystal. Hi, Crystal, welcome.
Crystal LaBranch, Byam Road in New Boston. Good evening, members of the board, administrators, and community members. My name is Crystal LaBranch, and I am here as the mother of one of the victims of the recent incident at Mountain View Middle School. For over a month, I have done everything the right way. I have made the calls, I have attended meetings, I have filed a Title IX report, and expressed my concern directly to the administration. All I've asked is for one simple thing: transparency and communication. What happened to my daughter and the other students is not gossip. It is not a rumor. It is not speculation. It was confirmed incident with explicit AI-generated images of students, children that were created and shared. The facts are not to dispute. Yet the silence from this district has been deafening. Parents were not notified publicly. There was no district-wide communication about digital safety, no assembly to this day to educate families or students. Not once has there been a message acknowledging
That's okay, take your time.
Not once has there been a message acknowledging that this has even occurred or affirming the steps that are being taken to prevent what is happening and that it doesn't happen again. And then this past Friday, after a month of silence, repeated requests for transparency, and an hour-and-a-half meeting an hour before of expressing exactly what we were looking for, the district finally sent out a communication. But instead of acknowledging the victims, the harm that was done, or the steps being taken to protect our students, the message shifted blame, implying that concerns raised by parents, myself, and families were based on rumor and misinformation. That letter felt like a total disrespect to the victims and their families. It minimized the pain, it dismissed the experience, it has ignored the accountability where we've been asking from the very beginning. After everything that these girls have endured, after all of the emotional damage, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, they deserved a message of care and support, not deflection and denial. Our children deserve better than silence. They deserve better than being brushed aside. And they deserve leadership that does not just protect an image, but it protects its students. The recent email that was sent to families, instead of offering clarity, suggested that concerns shared by parents and community members on social media were somewhere inaccurate or harmful. Let me be very clear. My post never mentioned a principal, it never mentioned a school by name, and it never mentioned a student. They have focused solely on accountability, prevention, and awareness. I stand by everything that I have said. Because when children are being digitally exploited, the harm doesn't come from the parents speaking up. It comes from the leaders that are staying quiet. So tonight I am asking this board to take immediate, transparent action and issuing a district-wide communication acknowledging the incident and outlining the steps being taken. Implement that there is going to be a mandatory assembly, that this is going to consist of education across all grade levels. Continue to provide and offer that emotional health support to these families and victims. Our children deserve to feel safe in their schools, and parents deserve honesty from the people that are entrusted to keep them safe. I know that this isn't easy to hear for anyone in this room, but imagine for just one moment that this was your child's face. It was your daughter or your son, altered, exploited, and passed around. Imagine being afraid to walk into school, afraid to ride the bus, or afraid to exist in a place that was supposed to keep them safe. This isn't about my daughter anymore. It's about every student who deserves better than silence. I didn't ask for this fight, but I will not stop until our school becomes a place where accountability is automatic and transparency is the standard, not something parents have to beg for. My hope and prayer is that this moment becomes a turning point, that no other parent has to stand or sit where we are sitting here tonight. Because the message and the measure of a school district isn't how it hides behind a hard truth. It's how it faces with courage, compassion, and change. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. All right, the next person I have is Ash. Hi, Ash, welcome.
Ash St. Ange, 10 Davis Lane, New Boston. So I'm just going to echo real quick what Crystal has said, and I also like to add that our daughter is struggling dealing with this situation. Her worry and fear is extremely heightened. She's fearful to return to school. Her love for football is dwindling, not because her coaches, high school coaches, they haven't been anything but supportive of her and all the girls. She's been approached by one of the involved parties at her locker during the school day, and another involved party had shown up at a football game and sat on the sideline near the team. We feel as if the school and SAU have catered more to these boys' needs and have protected them instead of protecting the victims. When given a chance to explain the situation that has been going on for the last month to the parents of the district, the superintendent decided to make it seem like the information on social media was false and rumors, and unfortunately he handled it, in my opinion, very poorly. Had we felt confident in the SAU or school to handle this situation and not just try to sweep it under the rug, we wouldn't be here tonight.
Thank you, Ash. All right, Nancy. Hi, Nancy, welcome.
How you doing?
Good.
All right. Nancy Biederman, Byam Road, New Boston. First, for those people that are watching at home, if you would like to see the educational alert that was sent out by the New Hampshire Department of Education, you now can get that. All the information is now available on the New Boston School Board website under the agenda. All of the meeting information is there available to the public, so you can follow along with the meetings if you are at home watching. I thank also for you guys fixing the website. Wendy, where'd you go? There you are. I brought up a concern at Wednesday night school board meeting in New Boston, and it got fixed, and so I was able to access all the information that wasn't there previously. Going back to Power School, just to update you, there has been a conviction of a 19-year-old who was the hacker, and he was from Worcester, Massachusetts. Good thing is they caught him. The bad thing is that Power School paid him $2.8 million in Bitcoin, and all the information's still out there. He didn't erase it. So I am asking you as a school board, what are you doing to protect the students' information that was stolen from this school? My child's information, my child's medical information is out there. That information that should have been erased because she had already graduated 4 years. And that policy, your policy said that all that information should have been erased after 3 years. Have you gone back and made sure that the medical information is being erased? Are you going back and making sure the IT department is erasing what they should be erasing? Haven't heard anything. Nobody's taken accountability for any of this, to me, and expressed any concern about my child's information being out there. Lastly, going back here with the incident here at Mountain View Middle School and the uses of AI deepfakes, I asked the school board to adopt policy JICN. Bedford High School just came up with this policy last school year because they had a similar incident. They adopted this policy on 5/27/25 and in accordance with RSA 638, ;26-A. If you make a deep fake image and distribute it for the purpose of embarrassing, harassing, entrapping, defaming, extorting, etc., this makes it a Class B felony. This is a felony, according to New Hampshire state law. Lastly, at your previous school board meeting, Turning Point USA was discussed as a club. Turning Point USA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk. The organization's mission is to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of fiscal responsibility, free markets, and limited government. Most importantly, Charlie Kirk's vision was for everyone to talk to each other and to have discussions, especially if you had different opinions. A school board member stated at the October 6, 2025 school board meeting at the 27-minute, 22-second mark on the published YouTube video, I'm going to put myself out there with putting Turning Point into the school. We don't feel there will be, I know there is a lot of violence that have come out of a lot of things. We are not concerned at all that we are going to have any violence in school, that our administrators are going to have to deal with it. Superintendent then cut her off. In the memory of Charlie Kirk, I asked for clarification on your comment and asked for a discussion so that we can better understand each other. Were you concerned about the safety of the students in the Turning Point USA Club?
Nancy, it's
Or are
been
you
over 3
concerned-
minutes. You about done?
Yep. Are you concerned that the Turning Point USA members are going to be violent towards other students at GHS? Your comments were very vague, and I would hope that the tolerant environment that should exist at GHS would be accepting of others with different viewpoints than themselves. The Turning Point USA organization is based on an open conversations to resolve differing ideas and beliefs. Have you looked into attending a meeting with the Turning Point USA students to see what they're about? Have you researched the organization? I would ask that you explain your comments and possibly include an apology to the members of the Turning Point USA Club and the students of Goffstown High School for jumping to false and demeaning rhetoric. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, the last person is Leanne. Did I say that right? You did. All right, hi, welcome.
Hello, my name's Leanne Burlingame, Fairview Street in, I think it's Manchester, Goffstown, I don't know which one you want to use. Okay. Sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
I'm here tonight as a parent of one of the victims of the AI incident. But more than that, I'm here as a voice for my daughter and for every student who has been failed by the silence of this institution. My daughter is part of a cheer team. She's full of laughter, kindness, and light. She loves puppies and the color pink. She's a leader, a friend, and a young woman with dreams and a bright future. She's a person. A little over a month ago, her world changed, and so did mine. That day, we received a call no parent should ever have to answer. We were informed that explicit AI-generated images of my daughter and of other students had been created and shared by classmates. These images were not real, but the damage they cause and continue to cause is devastatingly real. Since then, my daughter has endured stares in the hallway, whispers behind her back, humiliation, and a profound loss of safety in a place that should protect her and foster her growth. What has the administration done? They sent a letter, not immediately, not in response to the incident itself, but a full month later, and after a post on social media gained attention and called out the lack of communication. That letter did not acknowledge the harm, it did not stand with the victims. Instead, it referred to the situation as half-truths and rumors. It did not name the violation, it did not condemn the act. It did not affirm the dignity of these students affected. What's more troubling is the students reportedly admitted to creating and sharing these images, and yet the disciplinary response was limited to a short suspension, class schedule changes, and removal of extracurricular activities for the fall period. These measures may have been intended to address the situation, but they fall short of meaningful accountability. The consequences combined with the lack of direct acknowledgement from the administration have created a false sense that this is not as serious as it truly is, that this is not traumatic for the students who had their dignity and sense of security ripped away, and from what some may try to dismiss as a joke. But this is not a joke. This is a violation, and it has lasting emotional and psychological consequences. It feels, and I say this with the deepest mother's pain, that those who cause harm have been afforded more protection than those who were harmed. That the comfort of the perpetrators has been prioritized over the healing of the victims. And by not explicitly naming what happened, by refusing to publicly acknowledge that these images were created and shared, we risk teaching our children that this behavior is acceptable. That a joke can be as heinous and life-altering as possible, and yet minimal repercussions are all it takes to consider it resolved. That is not accountability. That is not justice. And let me be clear, this is not just a disciplinary issue. This is a moral crisis. This is a failure of leadership, and when institutions stay silent in the face of harm, they can become complicit. When they minimize trauma, they teach our children that cruelty,
Good.
Oh, it cut off. Sorry.
No worries.
That cruelty has no consequences. We are living in a new era, one where AI can be weaponized to violate, humiliate, and erase boundaries. Schools must be prepared, policies must be in place, and most importantly, victims must be seen, heard, and protected. I'm asking the board to take action, not only to support the students affected, but to ensure this never happens again. That includes implementing education around the ethical use of AI and digital tools. Our students must understand that creating and sharing explicit images of anyone, but especially of minors, even artificially generated ones, is not a joke. It is not harmless. It is not okay. It is a violation of dignity, safety, and trust. I'm calling on this board and this administration to do better, to speak out, to name what happened, to support the students who were targeted, and to ensure that those who commit these acts face real consequences, not just a slap on the wrist. My daughter is not a rumor. She is not a half-truth. She is a human being, and she deserves justice. And I will continue to be her voice. I will continue to advocate for acknowledgement, change, education, and accountability, not just for her, but for every student who deserves to feel safe, valued, and protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. I know there was a few people that came in after. Is there anyone that would like to speak before I close public comment? Were you all good? Okay. I would like to thank each of you for coming. I know speaking to us was very challenging and difficult, and we appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. We will continue on with our meeting, and you are all welcome to stay. If you do choose to leave, we ask you to do so quickly and quietly because we are still on cameras. So thank you again for coming out tonight. All right. All right, so we're going to move on to the approval of the October 10th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Did anybody have a chance to read it? Anybody see anything? I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 20th, 2025.
Thank you, Shane. Is there a second? By Ginny. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Teacher, student? Yes? Okay, I forgot you guys haven't been here in a while. I forgot to go. So everybody said yes, Denise. All right, so committee reports. We have finance, manifest and voucher.
All right.
Caroline?
Yeah, I will make a motion for the September 30th through November 3rd, 2025 manifest in the full amount of $5,421,828.71.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Jack? Go ahead.
So the first section of the manifest is payroll, taxes, and benefits, which is quite large because it is 3 pay periods. So the total amount is $4,293,908.16. Next is special education activity. The total amount is $286,673.93. Some of the larger payouts in this section include in-district and out-of-district transportation by Durham School Services for a total of $89,743. We paid Seven Hills for out-of-district services at $41,506. The Lighthouse School for out-of-district services, $34,495. Literacy Learning Solutions for special ed contracted services at $19,408. And the last one I'll review is another special ed contracted service through Amerigus Healthcare at $17,113. The next section is general expenses. The total amount in this section was $618,152.94. One of the largest payout in this section was the Goffstown share of the assessment, the SAU 19 assessment of $216,690. We paid the Goffstown Truck Center for regular ed transportation, $193,034. Our electricity to Eversource was $48,992. And then the last one I'll review is books, equipment, and supplies to Amazon at $34,453. Then the last section is food service for a total of $74,744.69. The largest amount here was to Performance Food Service for $53,371, and that was for food and commodities.
Thank you, Caroline. Does anybody have any questions? All right, seeing none, we had a motion, we had the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teachers, student, yes. Opposed, abstaining. We are unanimous. All right, Doug.
All right, great, thank you. So the first thing we have on the agenda for finance is the new Boston tuition rate. So at this point, what we're able to do is we're able to do the adjusting rate for last year's tuition. We're able to do that because we have audited numbers for expenses for last year, as well as state verified numbers for students in attendance or ADM, so the number of students who come to the school from different towns. So what we do is we take the audited financials and we work it through the agreed upon system that gets a tuition rate. So with that, we have a tuition rate for the middle school of $16,100 and the high school of $17,641, and we multiply it by the ADM, which is verified by the state. So that's kind of part one. So we get what is the total amount from last year. So that came to $8,211,595.70. And then we deduct from that all of the payments that New Boston had towards tuition from last year. So they pay in thirds. So once we deducted the $8,261,831.79, we had a credit to New Boston. So they had an overpayment of $50,236.09. So it's quite often that there's an overpayment, partly because before we have the financials for the year, we're projecting what the expenses are going to be. And, you know, so we never kind of get to 100% of the expenses. So even though we keep bringing those down throughout the year, there's still a little bit a conservative amount. So it's quite typical for there to be a credit going to New Boston. So again, the New Boston tuition coming in is one of our most significant sources of income to Goffstown, being a little over $8 million. So at the same time, we are calculating payment 1 of 3 for this fiscal year. So we're doing this off of the approved budget. So with that, the tuition for the middle school came to $17,125 and the high school to $18,203. And taking kids who kind of moved in or moved out, as well as kids who we projected to be there for the first 60 days, as this is payment 1 of 3, we had a combined tuition payment, once we credited that $50,000, of $2,708,086.94. So that payment is either coming over right now to New Boston, or will be coming over kind of this week or next week. So next thing I have on the agenda is the tax rate. We talked about this a little bit during the budget presentations, but just to kind of put some numbers down for people to see here and for people to see at home. The tax rate came in at $20.88 for Goffstown, which was an increase of 44 cents. If we isolated the education, we looked at the local education and state education, local education went up by 16 cents and state education went down by 6 cents. So overall, education went up by 10 cents or 0.79% compared to last year. Any questions on first two things? No? All right, so the next thing we have is the CRF, or the Capital Reserve Fund. So once we take our hold of $100,000 for future turf replacement, we have kind of our acting balance of around $128,000 in the CRF. As of right now, the proposal for the warrant article is similar to last year, well, exactly the same as $300,000. So we have some possible projects. Now, these include numbers that are close to accurate, but not yet accurate, because what we're going to do now is we can see if we look at these possible projects, the amount of them total over what we'd have available, either once we add the $300,000, if that were to pass, as well as the $128,000. So what we're looking to do now is see if there's any priorities from the school board. So what we're as we go to price things out again, to narrow things down to what we really want to kind of focus on, kind of our top 3, 4, 5 things that we want to chip away at, and usually we're chipping away at in the summer. So you can see on here are things like replacement of multiple doors, replacement of smoke detectors. So the smoke detectors are still working, you know, when impact fire comes out and they're doing services. If, you know, they say these 6 smoke detectors have to be replaced now, they're being replaced now. So that total of 91 has come down because there have been several smoke detectors that have been replaced. But as they're kind of chipping away, there is also the thought that they're kind of due an age. So to kind of, instead of chipping away, just to finish that off as well. But they are working smoke detectors. You can see that we have the media center, both the carpet and the chairs here. Carpet was last installed in 2001. Main office, again, carpet 2001. Middle school, we have older carpet, being 1990 in both the media center and band room. We have some drainage issues both at the high school and the middle school. And then we currently looked in the last couple weeks at reclaiming and overlaying some of the pavement around the middle school. So the middle school might not be our worst pavement in the district, but the thought is it would have to, you know, there'd be some reclaiming, but some overlay, so it would be a little bit cheaper than a complete kind of reclaim as what we might need at some of the other places. So spend a little less dollars in order to kind of keep it in better shape. So that price, we don't think it's $75,000. We think it's actually closer to $90,000. We're getting more of an accurate thing, and that again is something which, thank you to the town, they allow us to go into their bids if they're bringing out Continental paving, then we go in with them on a bid, and obviously they typically are using Continental a lot more than we are, so we get to use their buying power on that, which is good. So with that and knowing kind of maybe some other projects that are around the school, we're interested in hearing if the school board has any priorities.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions, comments? And that's all for tonight, for now? Or do
Unless you wanted to kind of, if you look at these items, is there any priorities that the school board definitely wants more of an accurate?
Go ahead, Jack.
So what you're saying is we have 428,000. We have 631,000 on our wish list.
Well, we probably have more than 631,000 on our
Okay,
wish
but I
list.
mean, on this wish
Yeah,
list,
on
they're
this
a little
wish list.
above it.
Yeah,
So should we work backwards to get down to 400,000? Like take off 200,000 of the least? Like I would think that smoke detectors might be high on the list.
yeah.
We said the same thing. Are they gonna-
The
I would venture to guess
replacement
the
of the
doors would also be-
the doors, yes, if they're not operating or the fall blocks aren't on operating, I would think that would be up there. Then
Go
we'd
ahead, Brady.
I don't know how bad of a condition they're in, but like carpets feel a bit more vanity. So if we're trying to cut down some easy numbers there,
Yeah,
be a place to look.
I was gonna say that, except they're twice as old as you.
Fair point.
But I appreciate, yeah. So is that, what do we think? I have no problem delving in a little ways.
Anyone? Go ahead, Jared.
I just think it's a matter of priority, it should always be safety. And
Yeah.
I know the
Safety,
ones
yeah.
that Jack put out there kind of lists that. And, you know, I always rely on the administration to kind of prioritize what the safety items are. You know,
Yeah.
looking at just this list, I'm in concurrence with Jack. You know, I would say probably drainage might be a little bit more important than others, just for some things that occur. But again, I think as long as we're prioritizing safety as the items, I would be in concurrence with that.
Thank you, Jared. Does that sound like a, Shane, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would pretty much echo that, and like that's
Okay.
why, you know, the fire, or the smoke detectors and the doors, like big ticket items, safety items, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I generally think
Yeah.
that the administration knows that we value safety as a board, and I think that they generally prioritize that. So I would be in concurrence with Jared on this one.
The
Go ahead,
drainage
Doug.
would seem to be pretty high if it's,
What was that?
I would think the drainage might be up there. If it's causing flooding, that could be damage
Right,
or
damage.
ice. That's, you know, slip and fall,
Yeah,
which,
would not be good.
yeah, the maintenance.
Right. Go ahead, Doug.
No, I appreciate the feedback. So we will get some more up-to-date prices, definitely on the doors, on the smoke detectors, and then we'll kind of work down there as an admin team, kind of prioritizing the safety as well. I think, you know, we're all under the same agreement with it, which is good. So thank you for sharing thoughts here.
Thank you, Doug.
Next thing I have on there is we have some new RSAs that are in effect. One, which is open enrollment, RSA 196D:6, requires school districts to establish a line item in their operating budget to reflect estimated expenditures. So open enrollment did not go all the way through last year in the state, but what the hope is for people who are looking to pass open enrollment is that if there's room at a certain school, that any student can then transfer to that school. So that would be a Goffstown student who could transfer to Bedford, Manchester, or they could go further in the state, or it could be a student from a surrounding town or anywhere in New Hampshire that could transfer into New Hampshire. So with that, and nothing's finalized now with what the cost would be, but there would be a cost to that sending district. So what they're looking to do is to make sure that there is a budget line and a budget, well, pretty much a budget line in the budget. So what we did was we added budget line 10-000-1100-00561. So this was higher up on the superintendent's kind of understanding than it was actually on the BA's. So I apologize, I was a little bit slow to get this in there, but it is in there. And I put it in a budget line, which is part of the 1100s, which is a typical place for a tuition, if we're talking about sending students someplace. And since it's in that 1100s, we can transfer money in there. So even though we don't have a budget in there right now, it's allowable to transfer money in from other parts of the 1100s as well. Jenny?
So is what you're saying, if a Goffstown student wants to go to a district that has a higher rate of, per student, that we have to pay the difference?
We would have to pay something. So again, nothing has fully passed at this point yet. So we're not working off of an RSA, which is beyond right here, which is to have a budgeted line and have an amount. So the hope of some in the state is to pass a law which allows for open enrollment. And at that point, there should be a little bit more clarity as far as like how much we would have to pay, how this whole system is going to be set up. So we're kind of just a little bit in the dark right now because that has not been passed. It's working its way through the legislative, but it has not passed at this point.
Wow, that could be a disaster.
It would be a challenge.
Brady, go ahead.
Just from my understanding, maybe others, is this basically just an expansion of the voucher system, but to public schools as well?
So not an expansion of the voucher system because there's no money going to parents. It's
Okay.
more of just an opportunity for a kid to go anywhere. And other states do have this. So other states do have open enrollment where if you're a student in Goffstown and you prefer, for whatever reason, what is going on in Concord, you could then go to Concord and they'd have to accept you as long as there was room.
So those costs will look slightly different.
So those costs will look slightly different and how it's, the whole setup of it will definitely look different.
Thank you, Brady. Go ahead, Jared.
Was this a line item that was submitted to the budget that went to the budget committee? And if so, do we have at least $1 in it?
It is in the part that goes to the budget committee, but we don't have a dollar in it. We're going to be bringing it up with the budget committee to see what amount they want to put into it. So right now, BAs are putting either $0, but they're making sure it's attached to a function which has money that you can transfer in, or they're putting it in a dollar, which is kind of the main way that people are going. So since it's part of the 1100, there are actually millions of dollars that could flow into it. So we didn't isolate it where no money could flow into it. But as of right now, there is nothing in there, but next time we meet with the budget committee, we'll be bringing it up with them to see if they have an amount they think is appropriate to put in there as well.
So
Go ahead, Jared.
to follow up, does Jack or I need to make a motion to have this in the budget committee? It sounds like it's already in the budget. There's $0 there. They're going to look at us to say, what do you want to put in there?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And so if we're going to have that conversation, great, but I would say our recommendation should be $1 until we figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, till the law clarifies, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Brian.
I would tend to agree with that. So what we're required to do statutorily is create the budget line. We don't have to put any money in it. Doug's exactly right. We have plenty of money in the 1100 function. We can always do a transfer in. There's a lot of unknowns around open enrollment. So at this point, I think it's probably premature for us to get too down the road and around the corner on this. But it's fair to say that it's unlikely that the state is going to meet its constitutional obligation to meet the needs of all children. They're not going to pay for an adequate education. You're going to have all kinds of discrepancies between what one school district costs and what another school district costs and who makes up the delta. There's all kinds of issues around special education around this. So I do think, optimistically, I think Goffstown could be a beneficiary of this type of program because I think we'll have a lot of families and kids that would want to come here and would want to access our open seats if we have them. But there are so many unknowns about this at this point. There's no bill that's been approved. There's no statute yet. But at this point, we need to have the account established. And Doug, if you think it should be, I would tend to agree with Jared. I think anything more than $1 would be premature. And arguably, we could leave it at 0 because we can just transfer money in. But I think we should explain to the budget committee that this is a statutory requirement and that we have complied with that.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Doug.
All right, are we ready to move on to the next?
Sure,
ballot?
yeah.
So something that will be happening this year on the ballot for every place in New Hampshire, this is coming from RSA 671:20, and that is before the budget question, as far as adopting the budget, we are required to put some information, and that information is the average cost per pupil for the preceding year as calculated from RSA 189:75. So that's the same thing that we see as far as the DOE 25 So which is typically your cost per pupil minus just a couple things, minus transportation, minus bonds, and minus out-of-district placements are the main parts of that. We are also going to be required to put the achievement proficiency scores as obtained from the Department of Education for ELA, math, and science. So both of these numbers, they are black and white, and they are coming from the state, which is good. And so that will be on the ballot this year. Next thing is one of those posting requirements. So when we post our budget, we post it in 3 different places as we're getting closer to having the town decide on the budget. One of those places is always online. I'm not quite sure where the other 2 places are, but maybe the town hall, maybe the SAU, where we typically post our budget. So with that, we have additional postings that have to happen for that. Again, this is every district in the state. So what will also be posted is 10 years of the average cost per pupil, and that will be adjusted by the Consumer Price Index. Then we'll have 10 years of the average teacher salary, adjusted by the Consumer Price Index, 10 years of a bucket of money for the admin salaries, adjusted by the Consumer Price Index, and then the most recent top administrative salary, so the 4 highest on that. So that will be clearly posted, and 3 of them, the first 3 also have a graph that goes along with it as well.
Can I,
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
adjusted by consumer price index, just clarify that. Right?
So basically the rate of inflation, and what they're asking us to do is be very specific on which rate of inflation we use. It's the New England rate of inflation adjusted for, it's off the top of my head, I can't remember what's adjusted for. So every BA is looking to use the same rate of inflation. They're pointing us to a direction of that rate of inflation from a federal site.
Okay, I know. I
Thank
guess
you,
I
Jack.
don't understand why you do that.
So what
I'm
they're
adjusted for the cost of living increase, which is something that you should have gotten. So are we trying to prove that we're not paying what the 10-year cost of inflation was, or we?
No, I think it's a good thing that they're adjusting because it's allowing kind of apples to apples comparison. So because of buying power of $5
yeah.
before is not the same buying power now.
Right.
So it's trying to get it to a norm for all of those 10 years. So the 10 years ago will be adjusted 10 times, 9 years ago will be adjusted 9 times. So it's trying to bring everything up to, in this case, $25. So it's kind of an even comparison. So what it really should do, as you look at it, it should actually flatten out the graph. Because as we know, people are getting paid more, but it doesn't necessarily mean that their buying power is more. And so what you'll be able to do is kind of look at the graph to see, do they actually have more buying power than they did 10 years ago, or they have less? So it will be able to tell a little bit more, I believe, a thorough of a story. But I think whenever you add another variable in there, it does kind of, at the beginning, it makes it more complicated to kind of have an understanding of what they're doing and why they're doing that.
On my bingo card, I have buying powers less over 10 years.
All right, Doug.
All right. And then, as always, we have the revenue and expense report, so I don't know if there's any questions on those.
I don't see any questions or comments on that. All right, so you're all set, Doug?
All set, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Budget Committee, Jared or Jack?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right. So, getting into the thick of things, we did the presentations for the school. I think they went very well. One of the key takeaways that actually rolled into the town discussion was impact fees. I think what was demonstrated by the school was, we have these places, buildings, homes coming online, and how it's projected to impact our student population, or what we call the school-age children. There's continued discussion on what those impact fees are going to look like even at the town level. So I think the Budget Committee is kind of getting the aha moment of, we've had these developments, we have these plannings going on. how is this really going to affect our town going forward? So that was, I think, a good aha moment. And just having more eyes and more thoughts on some of that would be good for our planning board. One of the things that was discussed last Thursday was the start of the town presentations. I don't remember the exact number, but the town budget is roughly a 13-point-something% increase over this fiscal year. A lot of debate, a lot of conversation on that. I'll just say watch the video. I don't want to get into it too much. One of the things that I am going to cascade, and again, this is an opportunity to get feedback to Jack and I, is as a matter of principle, we try to not get involved with cutting the town budget lines or adding to the town budget lines, as they are not our budget and we are not at-large members. I take that role very seriously. I think Jack does as well, but if that doesn't sit well with people, please come talk to us about that. I'm not asking for a formal resolution on what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Just as a general rule, that is what we have done in the past, and hopefully will continue in the future. One thing we did learn from the fire, or the assistant fire chief and now named fire chief, I believe, did come out. The town of Goffstown is getting rid of their circuits that they have. So, Ginny, Greta, if you walk around town, do you see those red fire boxes that says in case of fire, kind of pull the trigger on it?
No.
No. Does anybody see those on our telephone poles or things?
Can't say I have, Jared.
Can't say I have.
I usually
Really?
walk home from school.
What's that? So if you actually walk around town, they have those old school fire boxes that say in case of fire, pull this alarm, and there's a circuit that goes to dispatch that says this box on this telephone pole in this location, the fire alarm has been pulled. So if you didn't know that, congratulations, now you do. They're phasing that out as part of the overall plan. Again, makes sense. We mostly have cell phones now. But one thing that they did mention, and I send this to the administration, this may affect our fire panels that we have at the school because they are on those same analog circuits. So they did say that we might have to go with like an ADP or something like that in the future as they start decommissioning those circuits, which means instead of it going to the dispatch immediately, it goes to kind of an ADP, which would then go to dispatch. So I wasn't aware or sure if administration was aware of that. And if you aren't, questions to the now new named fire chief might be in order for that.
I'll just respond. We are aware of that, and it's very similar with how we operate on the burglar end of things, which is the system we already have. So when the town makes this adjustment and they get rid of that, that capacity, we'll be okay with it. I do hope it does not impact our fire panels, though. Fire panels are extremely expensive, and we've done a number of them in different locations. And the idea that you would have to then do a fire panel that can communicate with a different platform would be a costly endeavor.
One other thing that was mentioned at the town is they're asking for kind of a comparison based on projected tax rate based on our budget of what it would cost a median house value for our default budget and our proposed budget. They're asked that of the town. That's probably something that we want to be prepared with when we go through our deliberations to say, based on what we have right now, this is what the projected tax rate would be for a median income house here in Goffstown.
Thank you.
Other than that, Thursday is part 2 of town deliberations, going through library, going through some of our rec department, going through DPW. I look forward to those discussions being there. And then town deliberations will start before school deliberations. So in the past, we've always gone first. The town is going first, and we will be at the end. So maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, I don't know, but Jack and I will be ready to represent.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Jack.
And the only thing I would add to that, I guess, is kudos to Doug and his staff and the administration that one of the budget committee members did come up after the school presentation and said that the packet and the work that we did on that budget was an impressive piece of work.
Nice.
That as a budget committee member is impressed at what the job that was done, so.
Great. Awesome. Thank you,
Like to hear
Jack.
those sometimes.
Yeah, appreciate hearing that. All right, CIP, Jack, do you have anything to? is that
CIP was
done?
presented to the planning board, was
Okay.
accepted, was,
So we're done now?
it's done till
Okay,
next summer.
perfect.
So
All
I
right.
can remove that from the reports.
Yes, yep. Yeah, because we won't have any meetings again till
Till next summer.
next July.
All right, C&E, Ginny.
We have not had a meeting since our last meeting, and we will be meeting again November 17th, 2025, 7 PM at the SAU.
All right, thank you. PNC, Retta.
Yes, PNC met last Monday and had full agenda. We started off with the Dreamkeeper and Cornerstone Awards and the nomination period has begun. The form, I believe the press release went out to all the schools. And is it posted on the website? I didn't check that.
I believe so. You took Dreamkeeper Cornerstone?
If not, it will be shortly, so the public can access it.
We know a guy.
Yes. So both of those are going to be up, and we will, the deadline is December 1st at noontime to have those submitted. So as you recall, at our retreat last year, we decided we're no longer going to present the awards at the deliberative session. So we're looking into January, thinking if we're even going to just announce them at the deliberative session, we would want to present them at a meeting in January. And we have 2 meetings in January, I believe January 5th and January 21st, which is a Tuesday. So our hope, what we would be planning is have the presentations be given at the second meeting in January. And then we also worked on, you saw a couple of the flyers that we distributed last time, what you need to know, what to need to know about the budget process. We're going to be working next on what you need to know about running for the school board as we come into the election period. We thought it would be really helpful for anyone interested in running for the school board to have all the information up front, like what to expect, how many meetings, the time commitment, and all of that. So we're hoping to get those created by the end of the year so they can be made available. We're also hoping maybe all the town offices might think about doing that to give it a little more information for anyone that wants to be involved. This will also include, what to do once you're elected or what to expect once you're elected. So more information coming out on that later. PNC is also piloting going paperless. We're starting to use SharePoint. We're still working out some of the kinks, but I think this is going to be a good test trial for all of us. We're continuing to work on the communication plan and just contributing to really clarify how we communicate out to the public. And our next meeting is December 1st.
Thank you, Retta. That was a lot of information. A lot of good stuff.
Oh, well, we get a lot of very action-oriented people.
I love it. That's great. All right, policy, Shane.
Thank you. Policy will be meeting next Monday at 6 PM at the SAU. Oh,
Not at 5:30?
yeah, we should do 5:30. Can we make it 5:30?
Yeah. Can we?
Has it been-
Sorry, no, that's the SAU.
Oh,
Oh, but we also have policy November 17th, I thought,
And C&E.
and
Yeah.
CNA.
Okay, I,
well,
isn't SAU December?
we can. At 5:30.
All right,
All
so policy on the 17th.
So, yeah, so we'll meet at 5:30 at the SAU on the 17th.
Okay.
We will have second reads up for adoption later on. I won't be talking too much so I don't lose my voice or start coughing. But those will be coming up in old business.
Perfect, thank you, Shane. All right, SAU board meeting and budget hearing. Jared?
Yes, there is a budget meeting at the SAU, and any member of the public that would like to come and give public comment on the budget that has been out on the SAU website, please do so. That will be on the 18th at 6 p.m., which that day is a Thursday. So I'll figure out budget somehow. No, hopefully won't have a budget meeting.
Oh.
Better not have a budget meeting.
Right.
But that is our meeting. Any changes that occur to the SAU budget will be reflected in our district budget that has been sent to the budget committee as well.
Perfect, thank you, Jared. All right, and then the SAU Joint Area Committee meeting is meeting on December 17th at 6 p.m. at the SAU. All right, so we're good with that, so superintendent's report.
Thank you. Just a few updates for the board. We did hear a little bit, but I wanted to acknowledge the town sent out a press release today announcing that Chief Ben Selleck will be the new fire chief. So I'd like to congratulate Ben, and I'd also like to extend our appreciation to Chief Murray, who has been a great partner with us. He's worked really hard to try to get us into that generator grant, and we wish him well in his retirement at the end of this month, or the end of December, I guess. Brady mentioned Goffstown Applies. I appreciate that very much. I'd like to extend my appreciation also to Melissa Mazzoni and the school counselors for all the work that they did to coordinate that day and to encourage all the kids to apply. 468 total applications, and that's pretty impressive. So I appreciate that very much. We will be applying for SAFE grants in the next couple of weeks. The state has changed the process a little bit, and there are no longer quite as many areas that you can put in for, but we've got a number of projects already in the queue, ready to go, that would be putting in for the next round of SAFE grants. And two other ones. We've been working with the Goffstown United Soccer League, who has been offering a donation of exterior LED lighting at Mountain View on the kind of side buildings in the shed that are down by our fields. So our facilities director has been working with that group to try to coordinate that. So we appreciate the partnership with Goffstown United Soccer. And the last part is regarding impact fees. We just got the latest update today, and our total amount of impact fees for the school district is $392,546.44. So that amount, just shy of $400,000, can be used for expansion and growth attributed to increased population. So we've got a number of different things that we could consider and target for that. Certainly, we've talked about increased parking here at Goffstown High School. We've talked about increased field space here at Goffstown High School. And also other options would be any kind of engineering work that you might want to ever consider doing on the 110 acres of land that we own. Those kinds of fees would also be permissible for use of impact fees. But I wanted to give you that update, $392,546. And that was all I had. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
When do the impact fees finalize?
They don't expire for years. We're in good shape. We've spent down our other impact fees. There are no impact fees expiring, I think, even in the next 3 years. I think if I went back and looked, it's quite a ways out.
Okay.
We've spent them down.
Anyone else? Questions for Brian? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to old business. So this was the second reads that Shane was talking about. Go ahead, Shane.
All right, so we have a number of these up for second read and adoption. So I can just start pounding through them if people want to make motions or if people have questions. I guess we'll do it that way. So the first one is AB, which is the New Hampshire Parental Bill of Rights. So it's a new policy.
Do I have a motion?
I have some questions.
For this policy?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you want to do the motion first?
You can do the question first.
Okay. So I read through all of these, and some of these things looked familiar. Do you have any sense of like the extent of how many of these are going to be new for us, or because it sounds like a lot of these already exist for us?
That's true.
Okay.
So in the bill that was this parental bill of rights, there were this codified a number of things that already existed. So
Okay.
a good portion of this list already existed in statute, but now it's all been put in one place.
Okay.
There were some things that were added to this list, but the majority of these already existed.
Okay. I think that's kind of good news, that we're not going to need to create things.
Well, the one I would point out to you is, on this list, if you look at the policy, number 5 is one that is new. So the content contained in the Parent Bill of Rights, that section that was added to number 5 is new altogether. I'm not entirely sure exactly what this means. We'll have to wait and see when we start to get any inquiries of this nature. But the majority of these other ones already existed.
Okay. And maybe another question I have, and since these came from the state, it's not something we created, but I'm a little confused by 12 and 13 because they can exempt their students from required state assessments, but we also have to provide them with information about, for their children or for the entire school?
Yes, it's both.
Okay.
So they get to exempt their kids, and then they get to ask how their kids are doing.
Okay, that's,
So yes.
okay. No comment. And, I think that's it on that
Okay.
one.
Thank you, Retta. All right, so I'll need a motion for this policy. Anyone like to make a motion?
Oh,
Go ahead, Laura.
I motion to approve policy AB, the New Hampshire Parental Bill of Rights as presented.
Thank you, Laura. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Retta. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Student, teacher, aye. Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. All right.
Thank you.
Shane.
The next one was ADB-GBEC, which is double-coded. This one was a policy that we haven't looked at since about 2000, and it would go into our HR policies. It's about drug-free workplace and drug-free schools.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move this forward or accept it. I don't know. I'm sorry.
To adopt.
Adopt it. Thank you. It's like, I will not speak again.
That's
until-
no, you're fine, Retta.
I'll do
Did
whatever.
you get that, Denise? All right, so I have a motion by Retta. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ginny. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Student, teacher, yes. Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. Go ahead, Shane.
All right, I'm starting to lose it over here, sorry.
It's okay.
The next one's DAF, which is it's a federal policy of the administration of federal grant funds. So then this is one of those policies that is deep in statute, and if you look at the last page, legal references. So
Do I have a motion for this? Go ahead, Doug.
So I have some information. We received an email on October 24th from the state saying that some of the thresholds were increased. So this has to do with page 8. This is both the micro purchase threshold, which they increased from 10,000 to 15,000. This would have been federal government, as well as the small purchases, simplified acquisitions. They increased from 250,000 to 350,000. So boards can motion to increase those amounts, or they can keep them the same. But again, the micro purchases went from 10,000 to 15,000, and small purchases from 250,000 to 350,000.
Go ahead, Brian.
I might recommend that we increase the 10 to 15, but leave the 250.
Okay.
I think anytime we're spending that amount of money,
All right, so I would need a motion to reflect that.
I'll make a motion to approve policy DAF with the amendment of micro purchases from 10,000, increase it to 15,000, but, and then leave the small purchases at 250,000.
Thank you, Caroline. Do I have a second? By Ginny. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Retta.
Yes, I brought this up earlier with you, but I noticed that there was a change from the New Hampshire Education Department to, or New Hampshire Department of Education to the New Hampshire Education Department, which is a decision that they had made several years ago. I've gone to the website, and there is nowhere that says New Hampshire Department of Education. It's DOE everywhere on the website, and then I looked into some of their policies, and they refer to themselves as the New Hampshire Department of Education, which I like better. But I just wanted to, you know, I don't know that we need to go through and correct all of those because they call themselves the New Hampshire Department of Education.
I'm experiencing the same thing, Retta, where I don't see them refer themselves as the NHED ever.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what their actual title is at this point, because I think on the website it says Department of Education.
Yeah. Well, we got a handout today, and it said New Hampshire Department of Education, so I'd like to recommend that we not make all the changes in our policies.
All right, thank you, Retta. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any other further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining. We're unanimous. All right, Shane.
Great, thank you. Next one is EEAEA, which is mandatory drug and alcohol testing for school bus drivers and contracted carriers. Those would be people who are transporting children.
All right, I need a motion.
Yes. Oh, I should actually. I should mention that. So, along with EEAEA would be the recommended deletion of EEAEAR, which does not apply anymore.
All right, so need a motion to accept EEAEA and get rid of the reg.
I'll make a motion to accept EEAEA as presented and to, can I do the same motion?
Yeah.
And to rid of the regulation attached to EEAEA.
Perfect, thank you.
And to what?
To
Delete the
delete
reg.
the reg.
And can I change the motions to adopt and not approve?
I'm sorry, thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Denise. Did you get all the rest of that?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Caroline. Do I have a second? By Laura. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Retta.
Sorry, this is my policy day. In this policy, it talks about any school or vendor has to require, you know, the testing and the certificate and all of those things. Does our bus company do this, or do we do
They
this?
do it.
They do it,
They do it.
and we have access to that? Okay.
But we don't do the testing, we don't do any of that.
Okay.
They do that.
Great, thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. All right, Shane.
Next one is IJO/KA, which is the School Family and Community Partnership. So again, this is a double-coded policy.
All right, I'll need a motion. Go ahead, Jack.
I'll make a motion that we adopt IJOKA as presented.
Thank you, Jack. Do I have a second? By Laura. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Retta.
Sorry. I'm confused about the parent or, in your, it says parent, adult, mother, father, older sibling, aunt, uncle, grandparent, guardian, or mentor.
That's all removed from the policy.
But it just got moved down to this paragraph? Because it sounds like we're supposed to, keep all of these people informed, and I'm assuming that a student has either a parent or a guardian.
Right.
And it's saying the term, so reasonable efforts will be made to communicate with parents in their primary language in which they feel comfortable. And this is just an example, but it's, parent means all of these things. So are we openly communicating and working with all of these people, or just the parent and guardian?
I think the way that we interpreted it was that any of these people could be a parent. So say you have a student who maybe his uncle has custody of him, and maybe uncle is a Spanish speaker. So obviously that'd be the guardian, but I think what we landed on was that it was trying to clarify that any of these people can be the child's parent.
But it would be a legal guardian, not just
Correct.
an
Right. It would
uncle.
have- yeah,
But that,
correct.
this makes it sound like anybody could just walk in and, you know, get information. It's just parent or legal guardian, which can, whoever gets appointed to be that. So I just.
Yeah, and this language is from the model policy. The policy committee did not create this language.
Right.
It makes it sound like any of these people can be involved in getting information about the kid, which I think
Is this more indicating that all of these people can be used as interpreters if the parent guardian is having a hard time with language?
I don't think that's what the intent of the
Yeah.
language in the policy is, but that would be an operational thing, that if somebody had a language barrier and somebody else could help translate, sure.
All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining,
I'm going to abstain.
1 abstention. Motion passed. All right, next one.
All right, next one is IK, which is the earning of credit, which is a fairly short and sweet policy.
All right, do I have a motion? Go ahead, Jack.
I'll make a motion that we adopt policy IK as presented.
Thank you, Jack. Do I have a second? Second. By Laura. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. And last one, Shane.
And we have JICJ, which is the unauthorized communication devices, which
So
is
let me,
actually, oh, go ahead.
yeah, let me speak to this one, because this is, JICJ is supposed to be on the policy agenda. It wasn't ready to come on this agenda, but I can tell you exactly why it's on the policy agenda. So back in August, we adopted the temporary policy, JICJ, to be compliant with the cell phone unauthorized communication tool ban. And my question is, the School Boards Association model policy that we did not adopt had, it was very long, it had a lot of articulated required discipline in it. We chose to adopt something that was a little shorter and more succinct, and I think allows administration to process discipline as they do for every other reason. So my question for the policy committee next week is, at this point, my recommendation would be to keep that policy and to make it permanent. But that's really why this was. So it wasn't supposed to be on the second reads. I apologize. I had misstated that to Mrs. Warren.
All right. All right, Shane.
So
Last
the
one.
last one we have is KB and KBR, which is Title I Family Community Engagement. We have 2 schools in the district, Mountain View Middle School and Bartlett Elementary School, that receive Title I services. And this is the document that kind of governs how Title I is utilized and how we engage families and letting them have a voice in how we should utilize those Title I funds.
All right, do I have a motion?
I should also specify
No.
that KB and KBR will replace KBA and KBAR.
I'll need a motion for this. Go ahead, Jack.
I'll make a motion to adopt KB and KBR to replace
KBA?
KBA and KBAR.
Thank you, Jack. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Retta. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining, were unanimous. All right, thank you, everyone. All right, new business. So we have board request to reauthorize student CPR.
We
Is
do.
that
Mr.
Stephen?
Bourget is here, our IT director. I'll have Stephen come up and speak to this. Mr. Bourget.
Good evening. So for those of you who aren't quite aware with our process, any digital resource that is used by students or staff that collects any form of personal identifiable information by statute has to meet a set of minimum data privacy and security standards. And we have to review these on a regular basis. Now, we typically work with a firm, TEC, the Education Cooperative, to do a lot of that legwork for us. And we do that in the process of getting what's called a data privacy agreement, which is a legally binding contract between the district and either the CEO or CTO of the company that runs the service. Most of our digital resources, we have a data privacy agreement that's signed in place. We have a couple of products that we do that have met, or the state gives us other avenues to certify beyond the data privacy agreement route. One option is alternate certification, which means that they meet a set of minimum standards. Or the other avenue that the state provides for certain applications and certain criteria is the allowance to use some of these applications with parental consent because the product may not meet the minimum standards. That's defined in RSA 18970, I believe, is the statute. Our policy is EHAB, EHAB, that focuses specifically on the parental consent piece. Student CPR is a digital CPR certification product, very similar to where you get CPR certified through the Red Cross or American Heart. It is tailored specifically for students. They collect personal identifiable information, specifically student name, which by New Hampshire statute is classified both as personal identifiable information, but also as directory information. The state law permits through career exploration or certification route for a parent to provide consent to utilize such tools. Our health program at Goffstown High School uses student CPR to allow students to get CPR certified, meaning that they get the little card and it's valid for a period of time. The board had previously authorized use of student CPR, and we're at the point where it came up for review and needs to be reauthorized by the board. So I'm looking for the board to reauthorize and permit use for another year for the student CPR platform.
All right, anybody have any questions, comments for Stephen? If not, take a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the continued use of student CPR by health classes at Goffstown High School, with the understanding that we will review this authorization at the beginning of the 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Shane. Do I have a second? By Ginny. Any further discussion?
I think it's
Go
an
ahead.
important program. It means you have someone in your home that's certified to do CPR properly on an adult and an infant, including the high maneuver and all those kinds of things. So it's a valuable resource for all families to have their student enrolled in that program.
Right. Thank you, Ginny. Anyone else? All right, so
Just
go ahead,
a
Greta.
question, are we approving the program or are we approving the data privacy agreement?
It's the use of the student CPR digital platform.
Okay.
The program already exists.
That's what I thought, okay, thank you.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Student, teacher, opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. Thank you, Stephen.
There's one other
Yeah, there's one more.
application
Oh, yeah.
on here, which is Huddle. So Huddle is an athletics platform used by the programs here at Goffstown High School, football, volleyball, lacrosse, basketball, and I think field hockey utilize it. It is a digital coaching platform. It can also be used for college recruitment. That That platform, we had previously had a signed data privacy agreement with Huddle. However, negotiations with TEC fell apart about a year ago, and our policy allowed us to continue use through the end of last year. The product meets the minimum standards. However, the breakdown for getting a new data privacy agreement is a limit of liability cap that the vendor wants to enforce on any district signing an agreement. They want to cap their liability to a one-time cost of 1 year's subscription of the platform. Our legal counsel at TEC has advised us not to sign the data privacy agreement to constrain us that way, and their recommendation is to go forward with parental consent because it does meet the platform, but they recommend that we have parents sign off on the right for their children, or for the permission for their children to use the digital platform. Because it does, a student can create a public-facing, for lack of a better way to put it, promotional reel of their high school athletics, which is public-facing.
Go ahead, Laura.
Is the parental consent form part new, or have they always been required?
They have not always been required because when it was under our data privacy agreement, there were restrictions on what we can and can't use with it. But because that data privacy agreement is no longer in play and Huddle is no longer responsible to follow those rules because it has expired, the legal counsel recommendation was to have the parents sign a release saying that, yes, we authorize use of this platform with our child when participating in athletics at Goffstown High School.
Okay. Are there any other resources or platforms like this out there, or is this pretty much the premier?
This is the, for lack of a better way to put it, this is the de facto standard nationwide.
Yep. And this platform is pretty much used across all high schools. So not only are students at Goffstown High School potentially going to be recorded under Huddle, any away game that you go to any other town, they're also recording. So this is now kind of part of the athletic experience, but it does require written permission.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I will mention, students do use Huddle not only to get feedback from their coach, the coach is able to send them snippets from games so that they can learn from watching themselves. But beyond that, a lot of students who are looking to be involved in athletics at the collegiate level, they're able to take parts from that to create things for recruiting for college. So I will mention that it is also used for that.
Most higher ed platforms, one of their preferred methods of getting video footage for students trying to participate in college sports is through Huddle. Most platforms have a direct import from it.
It's because it allows you to break down by number of the player, their specific actions on the field. So for a recruitment project, it's a really good tool, I should say, not project.
All right, so you need us to make a motion to approve the Huddle
Continued use of Huddle for the upcoming school year with parental
with
consent.
parental consent. Okay. Does anybody want to make that motion? Go ahead, Retta.
I'll make that motion. As presented, the continued use of Huddle for the upcoming school year, 2025-26.
With the parental.
With parental consent.
Right. Okay, thank you, Retta. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Shane. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining. All right, we're unanimous. All right, thank you, Stephen. All right, next is reading program discussion. That would be Wendy, Brian.
Yeah, I'll tee it up. So when we presented the FY27 budget to the board, we had let you know that there was a new statute that requires us to have a compliant reading program in place for July 1 of 27. Given the teacher contract that we anticipate being on the ballot in March, we didn't want to put approximately $400,000 into the FY27 budget. And we had met internally at the SAU and had started to identify some of the areas that we could potentially fund this through that Mr. Totten can speak to a little bit. But we wanted to continue the conversation with the board and gauge the level from the board in terms of moving forward with the reading purchase this fiscal year. So Mrs. Kohler has been leading the process. She has a team of teachers that have been evaluating programs. They've narrowed it down to two programs that they're looking to pilot. We think that this is a good thing. This will be an improvement in our reading and literacy instruction across our grades, but we wanted to have an open conversation if there were questions about the funding methodology, anything else that we could talk about, and I believe you also talked about this in A&F this morning, or earlier this evening.
Right. Go ahead, Wendy. Thank you,
So I
Brian.
don't mind just providing a little bit more context. So one of the things I'll also mention is our current reading program, Wonders, is sunsetting at the end of this school year. So we're at the end of our subscription, and also knowing that RSA has come into play where we need to make sure we have an evidence-based reading program coming on board. Our committee is made up of administrators and teachers from throughout the district, including reading and writing interventionists, not just classroom teachers. We have narrowed it down to 2 products at this point. One of them is an HMH product called Into Reading, and the second one is a McGraw-Hill product called Open Court. So those are the 2 that we've narrowed it down to. We do have a front runner, however, we are still doing our due diligence with that. For example, our committee is meeting with another school district on Monday after school so that we're getting feedback on a product directly from teachers who are using it beyond the presentations that we've already seen from vendors. We've also been doing some research on our own through, if you're not familiar with the Reading League is kind of like the top tier people who look at reading and writing programs and grade them, for lack of a better term. So we've used that, other meta-analysis that we found to really start narrowing down our product. I also was able to talk to one of the companies and do some finagling, and they are giving us a 12-week pilot for free, which is a pretty hefty price tag normally. But I was able to get that squared away with one of the vendors, and I'm working on the other vendor as we speak. So that's just an update on where we are. I will mention that the people that are on this committee are pretty excited to be looking at these new programs. It's time for us to start navigating towards different programs. So this is for our teachers who have gone through letters training and a lot of training on reading and writing. They're very excited about the possibility of moving forward.
Nice, thank you, Wendy. Doug, did you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, so while it's kind of early in the year to kind of look at lines like replacement equipment or supplies or, kind of repairs, what we do know is that, of some of the staff that have left, they've been replaced by staff that are kind of lower level as far as on the pay scale, as well as, people who have chose to kind of come in and maybe not take health insurance. So there is, at this point, over $1 million that we're expecting to come from either health or salaries, whether that be teachers or paraprofessionals, as well as then the cascading things as far as teacher retirement and FICA as well. So if we're paying less, we're paying less in taxes. We're paying less in teacher retirement as well. So we feel like there are several buckets that we would be able to have that $400,000 from.
Anybody questions, comments? Go ahead, Jack.
My question would be, so the idea of the 12-week trial would be that you could get that for like the end of this year, then they could test run it to then pick and put one in place for next year.
Correct. So my hope is that we're going to start the pilot in January. So anytime we pilot products, we always let parents know about the pilot so they can get information about it. With the company that I have the pilot set up with, that includes online access, so parents will be able to go into Schoology and will be able to see the resources that we're using as well.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? And you'll update us as...
Yeah, absolutely, and as always, I'll go through CNE for approval, so when we get to that point, I would imagine either in our April or May CNE meeting, I will bring forth a recommendation for a program, and we'll go through CNE and then to the full board from there.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everybody good? All right, moving on to staffing.
So this is a very long list.
Yes.
I'm desperately hoping that you won't want me to read all of these names. But I would point out boys basketball at Goffstown High School is not on this list. We are in the process of still determining those coaching positions, but I believe that this is the remainder of all other winter athletics.
I'll make a motion to approve the co-curricular sports nominations as presented.
Thank you, Shane. Do I have a second by Ginny? Any further discussion? Go ahead, Rheta.
I just want, it's a very long list, but it looks like we only have like 4 brand-new people and the rest are all returning.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, Rheta. That is very true. There are only a couple of new folks on this list, so, and I would also point out to the board and to the community, there are a lot of volunteers on this list. And so there are so many people in our community that give freely of their time, their talents to benefit our kids. They're not getting paid anything. They're doing this because they want to be a part of it. They want to help support athletics and student athletes. And we are so grateful and are so appreciative to have these incredible coaches.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. And on the back is?
Yeah, and on the back, we have co-curricular and non-athletics. And we would also be looking for your approval of them.
I'll need a motion.
Motion to approve the co-curricular non-sport nominations as presented.
Thank you, Caroline. Do I have a second? By Rheta? Any further discussion? Go ahead.
I just have a question. So one of the things, we have the new policy in place that these groups would have to be piloted for 3 years before they're considered for a stipend. Would it be possible or helpful to have that number next to the...
Like what year they're in?
Right.
I think Kate is working on something. Doug, do you remember? I think that's in process.
Okay.
Because we thought that was a really good idea,
Yeah.
and it's impossible to keep them all straight.
Right.
So which year of the pilot are they then in? Because we would also need to know that for budgeting, to bring the stipends into the budget. So that's a really good recommendation, Rheta, and I'm pretty sure we're already working on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's going to show up on the staffing sheet, but at least HR is working on a model to track that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Rheta. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. All right, so top 3 things.
I want to call a friend line. One got recommendations.
Want to do the awards?
The award stuff.
Nominations.
That it started?
I was supposed to do that, awards.
All right, so awards nominations, that's what you...
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Budget meeting with the school stuff? No?
But that's not coming up for,
Deliberations, I wouldn't put it in this one.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about approval of adoption of all those policies? And then what about discussion of the new reading program?
Oh, yeah, right.
Just because maybe for under new business, the reauthorization of CPR and huddle, just
yeah.
knowing that we don't have a data privacy agreement with them, but it's still being approved, and parents need to actively sign in for those, I think it might be a good use. in my
Okay.
opinion.
everyone good with those 3?
So CPR with the huddle, and then awards, nominations, and then the bless you, reading
you.
program? Is that what we said?
So not the policies. So the awards,
Maybe the policies over the reading?
It's just the reading's down.
Yeah.
We're gonna have more reading coming in later.
yeah.
So policies instead of
Yep.
reading? Okay.
Right. And can I just have a clarification, because I'm not sure it was said in the recording, but for the reauthorization of those 2 platforms, the parents are made aware of that already, right? They're,
Parents give written permission.
right,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
All right, so any other business that may come before the meeting? Anyone? No? All right, so we do have non-public.
We do.
All right, so I need a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person.
So moved.
So moved by Jared and second by Shade. I'll do roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, all right, we're in non-public. So we'll go down to the conference room. Bye, guys, thank you.